but I'll use this opportunity now to answer it. And it involves my career in the world of pro wrestling and the WWE. And the question was actually multiple questions by one person, which I appreciate the detail. It revolves around my retirement from the WWE. So the question was, and I think I'm going to get this right, is officially, when did I retire from the WWE? Why? Which is always a great question to understand our whys. Why did I retire from the WWE? Why did I return to the WWE years later? And why did I retire again? I retired from the WWE in 2004 at the age of 32. And at that time, here's the why. Why I retired was two reasons. Number one, and this is not in order of importance, number one, my contract had expired. And number two, which is the most important thing, is an agreement that I have with anybody in the world, any company, any individual. It's always important to me. It means everything to me to shake that person's hand and look them in the eye. We could bring in lawyers from all over the world. We could bring in the best of the best in business affairs and sign contracts and all that. But it all comes down, for me, it all comes down with me looking you in the eyes and shaking your hand. So, and delivering what I gave you my word that I was going to deliver. So I'm saying that to say in 2004, when my contract expired, I had delivered on my agreement with the WWE and with my longtime mentor and very, very good friend, Vince McMahon. We shook hands. I mean, that's the way we are. We shake hands. And look, even these big ass dinosaur mitts, that are all fucked up with calluses, excuse my language, it's very important to me, the handshake. So in 2004, I had my very last match in, of all places, the Mecca, Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the world. And what's ironic about that, and it's so kismet in a way, how the universe works. I started my career, I had my very first match in the WWE in Madison Square Garden in 1996. That New York City crowd, let me tell you something, it sounds like a cliche, that if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere, but that's true. And that night, that city embraced me like a son and launched my career, which is why I always consider New York City my home away from home. I had my very first match in 1996 in Madison Square Garden and my very last match in 2004 in Madison Square Garden. I started my career at 25 years old with the WWE, and I ended it when I was 32. A 7-year run. So in my life, as a lot of you guys know, the number 7 means a lot. $7, 7 years. So I had a 7-year career that was just so blessed, and I was so fortunate. It was beyond my wildest of wildest dreams. So in 2004, I retired. Two reasons. The why was I wanted to give my word and complete what I had given my word that I was going to complete, which was my contract. The other reason why, and again, this is why in life it's so important that we identify our whys on why we do things. And once we identify that, it's like a shift and click moment for all of us. Once you identify your why that you're going to do, whatever you're going to do in life, it's shift, click, and then you go. And then the power in that, when you have that kind of clarity for the why. So I had a philosophy when I was 32 at that time, and I couldn't share it with a lot of people because a lot of people would have thought you are out of your, excuse my language, you're out of your fucking mind for leaving the WWE and retiring. Why? Because I was on top. I was the biggest #1 draw in professional wrestling in the WWE, and I was quietly retiring. Again, my contract had ended, but my philosophy, my strategy at that time was, I'm in a world of pro wrestling that I grew up in, and I have a long lineage of my dad, my grandfather. I have, wrestlers, a long line of wrestlers. I come from a long line of pro wrestlers, proud, crazy pro wrestlers, and I have such a love and reverence for the world of professional wrestling. I felt like at 32 years old, my Hollywood career was just getting started. If I can leave and quietly retired from this world that I love so much, and I know it was a hard thing for a lot of people to swallow, this philosophy, if I could leave and become successful in Hollywood and become successful outside of the world of professional wrestling, of the world of WWE, when I mean successful, like my ambition was, I wanted global success. I wanted to have global influence in a very, very real and powerful way. That was my goal. And by the way, in all likelihood, I was going to fail because the odds are always against somebody when you go to Hollywood, and especially under those circumstances. So the thought was that if I could go and if I could have success outside of the world of wrestling, and then years later, and I knew it was going to take years, if I was fortunate enough to have this kind of success, then come back to the world of the WWE, but this time as a global entity. This time I could help bring a greater value to the company of the WWE. And not only that, but also bring a greater value to the locker room and to the men and the women who just sacrifice and commit so much of their life to this business. And I thought if I could come back as a greater asset, then it would pay off in so many ways across the board. And again, you never know how these things are going to work out. That was a long-term goal that I had.